Hey everyone, so today I'm going to show you guys how to actually install virtual machines onto your system using the program VMware Workstation. Now this software isn't exactly free. There is a free version, but there are also other ways to get this without purchasing it, which I won't really tell you guys how to do. You guys gotta figure that out on your own. But yeah, let's get into it. So the reason why we're actually going to be using virtual machines is so that we can run MapleStory multiple times on the same computer. Now it's not that hard, so I'll show you guys how to do it. So first, what you want to have is VMware Workstation Pro. You also want your Maple files, of course, so just like your standard Maple files. You want a key for the operating system that you're going to be installing, and you also need the operating system itself. So the operating system itself could actually be a like Windows 7, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, but I would recommend Windows 7. It does run the most stable out of all of the ones that I tried. And then you also need a few tweaks that we need to make to our virtual machine once we're done setting it up. So yeah, that's about it for what we need. Okay, so let's get into it. First of all, we have to double click VMware Workstation Pro to pop it up. Now what we want to do is we want to create a new virtual machine. So we click here. Now it's going to ask us if we want typical or custom. We hit typical. Then it's going to ask us to insert our operating system disk. Now, if you have an operating system disk, like a Windows 7 disk or a Windows 8 disk, Windows 8.1 disk, Windows 10 disk, whatever, you would just put it in at this time. It'll automatically detect the operating system, and then you could just hit next. Now, most people, they don't have a CD drive on their systems, so they'll have to actually download an ISO. Now, an ISO is an installer disk image file, where it has your CD's information just compiled into a single file. So over here, I'll put an ISO since I don't have the physical CD. I'll hit browse and I'll search for the ISO that I want to use. Now I already have a few ISOs that I have downloaded from before. So over here I have Windows 7, Windows 10, Windows 8.1. So for this example, I'll use Windows 7 Ultimate. Alright, so over here I have it already set up. So Windows 7 x64 detected. X64 just indicates that I am on a 64-bit operating system disk. So now what I do, I just hit next. It does do everything with easy install, so it's just really simple to set everything up. It just automatically does it once we put in the information that's required of us in the following section. So over here, it's going to ask us for a Windows product key. What we do over here is we look at our generic keys. Now, these generic keys are just keys that are used for the installation purpose. They aren't used for actually using the system. But for our purpose, the installation key will do fine. We're not really using the system for anything other than MapleStory. So we're just going to scroll down. We see Windows 7. We are on Windows 7 Ultimate. So we'll just use the generic key used here. So copy, paste. Just use Faze. The version I'll install is Windows 7 Ultimate. That's it. I don't want to put a password. So I can name this anything I want. I can choose where I want to put this virtual machine. Now this virtual machine is going to have to be at least 40 gigs or so, just to make sure that it has some space for updating system files and updating patches whenever there are patches involved. So 40 gigs would be more than enough. I would say just pick an area where you have space. If you have an external hard drive, that'll do. It'll just run a little slower than it would if you had an internal hard drive with the amount of space required. So over here, virtual machine name, I usually name it based off the account I'm going to use it for, so like Kana or HS, but for this example I'll just put the number 1. So this is my first virtual machine on the system, so I'll just hit next. Maximum size, I like saving my space, so 60 is the default, but I'll just put it as 40 since it doesn't really matter. So I can split the virtual disk into multiple files. Now, the main reason for this option is so that if I wanted to transfer my virtual machines and I use a flash drive, for example, to transfer all my files, it'll just be easier for me to do it with the second option, because flash drives are usually in the format of FAT32 or exFAT. It's the maximum size that you can transfer at a time is about 4 gigabytes. So if you do see yourself transferring your virtual machine files, you can select this. I do not see myself doing that, so I'll just do it with a single file. It doesn't make a difference either way. So yeah, you can just go next. Now, this is sort of an important part. You want to go to customize hardware. You click customize hardware and you set your RAM to 2.2 gigabytes. So it's set at 2 gigabytes, so 2048 megabytes. You want to set this to 2200. Now, the reason why we're going to want to set it to just slightly above 2 gigs is because Maple uses 2 gigs of RAM to actually run. So you want to give it some room to breathe, but you don't want to give it too much space, because if you have multiple virtual machines running, you want to limit your resources. You want to limit the resources for the virtual machine if it's only being used for MapleStory. So now what you want to do is you want to go to your processors and you want to actually select 2 cores for the processor. So a single processor and 2 cores per processor. So for this system, for this virtual machine, I'm going to have 2 processor cores for the processor that's involved in this virtual machine. So that's about all the changes that we need to make over here. So now I just hit close. Sometimes, okay, wait one sec. So finish. So now it's going to create the disk. Now, after creating the disk, a lot of people might get a pop-up, like a scary pop-up that says, hey, you know, Intel VT-X virtualization technology, whatever, blah, blah, is not enabled. You have to enable it in your BIOS. So I can't really show you that in this video, but I can guide you through it on what you have to do if you want to message me personally. My Discord is Faze, F-A-Z-E, #0021. You can contact me on Discord if you need help guide it through that process. But it's fairly simple. All you really have to do is you have to go into your BIOS, and once you're in your BIOS, it's usually under your security settings. You just have to enable, if you have an Intel processor, you would have to enable Intel VT. So that's virtual technology. Sometimes it says virtual technology. If you have AMD processor, it would be Hyper-V technology that you have to enable. So either one, you just have to enable it, and then you restart it, and it should be good to go to the next step. So yeah, sometimes it's a little confusing. It might be like a scary pop-up, but that's about the only hurdle you have to go through when you're in your BIOS settings. So yeah, it's not too difficult. I'm gonna let this finish up. Gonna speed this section up a little bit. Okay, so over here it's going to say the keyboard hook timeout value is not set. It doesn't really matter. This isn't very important for what we're using. So you just hit do not show this message again, just hit OK. It's going to ask you if you wanted to detect all of your devices. It doesn't really matter too much right now. So just hit do not show this hint again, hit OK. And then we just let it load. We just let it install. So at the bottom, if you notice, it says easy install is installing Windows 7 x64. So it's doing everything automatically. We don't have to do any sort of inputs to put in product keys or anything of that sort, because we already did that earlier. Remember when we put in our information with the product key and the username and password if we wanted to choose one. So yeah, we don't have to do any of that. So let's just let it do its thing, and it's just starting the setup, and yeah. And we are back. So over here, what we have to actually do, we're gonna let it install the VMware tools. Once the VMware tools are done installing and you just set the network location, doesn't really matter, you could just hit home, just let it do what it does. Shouldn't take too long. You don't need to do any of these home group stuff. I usually like keeping my my taskbar clean. So now it's just gonna restart after it installed the VMware tools. Just let that restart. Okay, now we're in the operating system. Cool, so we just completed the main first step. This is probably the longest step that would have taken any time at all. So now what we have to do is we have to change some change some stuff in our registry. So how do we get to our registry? We hit the start button inside the virtual machine. Once we hit the start button in the virtual machine, we type in regedit. Regedit. Hit the program regedit, which is your registry editor. Then we need to navigate to a certain section in the registry. Now I'm gonna upload this, well, I'll just put it in the description, but this is the section that you have to get to. So it might seem scary just looking at it like this, but it's really not. This is just a location in your registry that we need to make a minor edit. So over here we go to HKey local machine, then we go to system, then we go to CurrentControlSet, then we go to control, then class, then we just have to look for 4D36E968. Alright, that's right there. Just go 0. Now we just click 0, 0, 0, 0. Once we do that, what we have to do here is we have to go to the driver description, driver DESC, sorry. So we want to double click driver description, and we want to remove anything that has something to do with VMware. In my case, it says VMware SVGA 3D. So over here, we hit that and then hit OK. Now, the reason why we're doing that is because if we don't do that, the Maple, by default, it prevents running MapleStory on a virtual machine. So to allow us to be able to combat that, and for MapleStory to think that we're actually using a regular computer, we want to remove that that section from the registry. So this data from the registry is removed. Now we just want to hit exit. Now we just want to confirm that it is removed from the registry. Just gonna go back in again. For some reason, sometimes it doesn't save. So we do see that it is saved. It is gone. Now what else we're gonna do is we have to make an edit to what's known as the VMX. So the VMX is actually your virtual machine file. So first, what we have to do is we have to close this out. I'll just power it down. So I just right click the tab, I just go to power and I hit power off. Do not show, power off. So once that is complete and powered off, I'll just exit here. So also, if you see your system like this, your virtual machine application like this, and you don't know where your virtual machine is, what you can do is you can hit either this or this. Well, no, not that, sorry. You could just hit this and it'll show you your most recent virtual machine that you used. If you just want to open the virtual machine, you can just go to where you saved your virtual machine. If it's not in your recent library tab, and you just go to your documents, virtual machines, one, and then right over here, this is your VMX file. So we do need to make an edit to this VMX file. So we're just going to manually go there. So I already went there. It's in my documents folder, then virtual machines folder, then one. Now by default, most Windows PCs, they don't show the extension by default. So what we want to do is we want to go to view. We want to go to hidden items. No, sorry, not hidden items. We want to go to file name extensions. So I'll check that. And it'll show us all the file name extensions. So over here we see that that's the .vmx file that we're looking for. So right here what we do is we right click this, we go to open with, and we go to choose another app. We want to open this with Notepad. Now I could have just right clicked and go to edit with Notepad++, but a lot of people don't have Notepad++, so I'll show you guys this way. So open with, choose another app. The default app to obviously open it with is VMware. So, excuse me. So we want to open this with Notepad. So once we open it with Notepad, we'll see a whole bunch of scary stuff that pops up. All we're really going to do is we're going to go all the way to the bottom. We're going to add another line. Okay. Add another line. Now over here, this is the only line we're adding to it. So copy, paste, and boom. That's it. So now we want to save this VMX file. Save it. Close it. Just confirm that it did save. Yep, it did. Now all we do is we reopen that virtual machine. We start it back up. And that just prepared our whole system to run properly, to run MapleStory flawlessly. Now, the next step that we have to take is to actually install MapleStory and run it. Okay, just letting it load. Okay, that was pretty quick. So now what we have to do is we just have to install MapleStory. Now, how are we going to install MapleStory? So what we can do is we can actually go to the browser within the virtual machine and download MapleStory like that. Now, if you have a slower computer, what you can do is you can find a flash drive. If you have a flash drive, it makes things a lot easier and simpler. So what you can do is you can just plug in your flash drive and it'll show up your connected hard drives, connected devices at the bottom right. So all you need to do is, for my example, I have a flash drive connected to my system that already has MapleStory files on it. So I'll just click this over here. If I hover over it, it says SanDisk Extreme. That is my flash drive. I'll just click it. I'll hit connect, which will disconnect it from the host, which is my main PC. So it says a USB device is about to be unplugged from the host and connected to this virtual machine. So do not show this message again, because I do this all the time. So it's just going to install the device drivers, just the plug and play drivers. So once I do that and it's done loading, it'll show up in my computer right here. All right, and then it just popped up. So that's my flash drive. Now over here I have the Maple files in library. So all this stuff is here already. So I don't necessarily have to reinstall everything. I can just drag and drop it to whatever directory I want. So I'll just, since we can't use Game Launcher anymore, we do have to install the Nexon Launcher. So we're gonna just go ahead and do that. And since I have it already on my drive, I can just put it into a directory. Okay, so new folder, I'll say Nexon. Let's put Nexon Launcher. Just doing some updates since this is a brand new operating system. It does need to download its own essentials for it to actually properly run. Should only take a few seconds. Okay, maybe a minute. Okay, now that that's done, I can set whatever configuration I want. I'll just leave it as default. Okay, so that's done. Now I can just move this library that I have, which is with all the Maple files, into the Nexon folder that I created a little earlier. So just gonna let this copy over. I should have put this on a USB 3.0 port. Anyway, just gonna let this finish up. Whoa, my wife just texted me. Hold up. Just gonna speed this up a little bit.
She died when I was 8, and she crawled underneath the porch.
To die.
To be alone.
Alright guys, so now that that's done, all we have to do is we have to open up the Nexon launcher. Open up the Nexon launcher. And we just have to select where we installed Maple. Okay, so if you get this error, what you have to do is you have to download Adobe Flash Player.
To die.
Don't have to download all that extra stuff. Should only take a little bit. Okay. There you go. So all you have to do is download Adobe Flash Player so that that message doesn't pop up again. I know it's kind of strange. It says network error has occurred when it's literally just a Flash issue, but you know Nexon. So we're just gonna let it install. Once it's all set up, it's gonna ask us to log in. Okay, so there it is. Now for the first initialization, it does take a little time. It's not gonna be like that all the time. It's just for the first sign on. So then we just log in with our account. Whatever account we wanna sort of bind this VM to. We don't necessarily have to bind it or anything. We could always log out and use another account. So yeah, it's completely up to you. Once this is all set up, I'll show you guys how to actually clone this virtual machine and have multiple virtual machines running at the same time. So that step is not that long, actually. It doesn't take too long at all. Denim Hose, that's me. Denim Hose. Okay. So I go into settings. The way I got there is I just hit this arrow, go to settings. Now I just have to go to the game installation location. So I already put it into the default folder that it would be in, which is C:/Nexon/library. So I just want to confirm that that is the folder that it is in. So yep, that is where it is. So once that is done and I have that in the game installation location, I hit OK and I just click MapleStory. Game page, hit play now. Okay, now download now. So it's gonna ask us to download. We hit download and then the client actually detects that MapleStory is already installed. So it's just gonna verify that the system files, the game files are good and it's ready. But there is a server check right now, so it might not run at the moment, but yeah, it doesn't hurt to just pre-update. So yeah, it is updating some files right now. It's not gonna work right now because I think we're still under, so we're still under the maintenance, but that's about it, guys. We just hit play and it will run. If it doesn't run, then let me know in the comments below, but it should run. I wish I could show you guys when the game is up, but my time schedule is kind of tight and I did have some free time this morning because I usually have time in the morning before work, but yeah, there was a server check unfortunately right now, so I had time to do this video. So yeah, guys, enjoy. Before I close off, I just want to show you guys really quickly how to clone your virtual machine, so that you can have even more clients of Maple running at the same time. It is really useful if I want to use a Holy Symbol Mule Economule, Sharp Eyes Mule, or Speed Infusion Mule, or whatever. If your computer can handle it, then why not have more, right? So now all we have to do is we just power this off. Okay. Now what we do is we right click here. We go to manage. We go to clone. We hit next. Current state in the virtual machine. We do linked clone. We do not do full clone. If we do full clone, it uses up another 40 gigs of hard drive space. So we want to use a linked clone. What linked clone does is it shares the files on that original virtual machine. So linked clone. It's not going to use an additional 40 gigs. Linked clone. I'll just name it 2. So that's about it. That's all we did. We just created a linked clone, and we can run 2 virtual machines at the same time. Now you can either have it in the tabbed format, or you can actually take it out and have them as individual windows. So I just dragged out the tab for it to allow me to do that. So over here, I am in Windows here, and I am in Windows there. So these are individual processes, individual instances of Windows. So what I do here isn't gonna pop up over here or anything. It's just like a completely different computer with the same system files. So I don't have to reinstall Maple on this. I don't have to reinstall this or that. It just makes it a lot easier to do things that way. So just do a linked clone, and the only thing you might have to do though is just have to log out of the Maple account that the original account is linked to, and just re-log in with whatever account you want to put on it. So yeah, that's about it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, learned a lot of stuff. If you are confused about anything at all, just again, you could contact me on Discord. I'm usually free on Discord, even though I'm teaching most of the time, but I'm usually playing around with my phone and chatting with my friends while teaching. So yeah, guys, just let me know. All right, have a good day. Hope this server check ends soon so I could show you guys some other stuff. But if anything else comes up, I'll make another video. And yeah, have a good day, guys. Okay, so I did just get back home, and the patch did finish. So let's just continue off from what we were doing. So I'm just gonna try to start it up. We might have to do a few more steps, actually. We might get a runtime error. If we do, there's just a few steps we need to take further. Okay, so we do need to download the runtime update. So what we do is we go to our browser and we type in, well, first you would go to google.com. Then you type in Microsoft Visual Studio 2015 Runtime Library. Just click the first option. Once you're there, just hit download, and you just select both of them. Once you're there, you just hit next. Just let it download, allow multiple downloads. It should just take a few seconds, like over here, depending on your internet speed and everything. But yeah, once you're done downloading those, you just want to run it. Yes, you agree. Yes, yes, yes. After you're done with x86, which is for 32-bit, you want to do the x64, which is for 64-bit. Now, once you download these, it should be pretty smooth sailing from there. Close, cancel out. Now let's try it again. Just gonna take a sec for it to load up. Once we see Nexon Game Security, we know it's a good sign for it to start up. So initially, yep, there you go. We see Nexon Game Security. then is it gonna pop up? It's gonna pop up very soon. So yep, there we go, it popped up. Initially it's gonna like make your screen smaller because it defaults to the maximum to the resolution of 800 by 600. Well, that's loud. So you just wanna press Alt Enter for it to go into window mode. Then you could just do what you want to do, and we're in MapleStory. So you can go into reboot, play with me, my IGN's Faze, come find me, fame me, or something, because I'm cool. Yeah, so that's about it. That's about what you have to do. My internet's kind of bad, so I can't really show you in game, but yeah, that's about it, guys. Yeah, have a good day. Bye.